shattered to unbreakable. Listen here, sweet sister. Whether you think you have one little crack or you are shattered into a billion pieces, this podcast is going to give you the resources, tools, and skills to help piece yourself back together to form a beautiful, unique, solid, and unbreakable masterpiece. You are listening to Shattered to Unbreakable, the Reclaim Podcast. Let's talk. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Shattered to Unbreakable. I'm your host, Brandi Babin, and I'm so excited to have Bre Wolta on with me today. If you guys have been following this podcast, you know she's obviously my favorite guest because she's been on like 100 times.
You can't say that out loud, Brandi.
I know I can't, but I say all kinds of things I'm not supposed to say, and I think they all know that now. Well, you've helped me through a lot. I do want to make sure people know that you're a coach. I've had her coach me through some things. The tapping has been incredible. I've even taught my kids some things. It's so funny. Sometimes I'll be tapping on their forehead and they'll be looking at me like, what are you doing? Like, just hold still.
It's magic. Don't ask questions.
Yeah, it's not actually what I'm supposed to be doing, but sometimes it gets them out of that state.
Yeah.
So Bre, remind everybody the kind of coaching you do real quick, and then we will talk about what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, I am a relationship clarity coach, and I help women find clarity after they've been through some sort of mind of a relationship experience. Typically, that involves being with somebody who is on the narcissistic spectrum, but could also be just with other emotionally unhealthy people, where you get out of that relationship and you're like, what was that? Or who was I in that? Or who am I now? There's just a lot of swirling confusion typically when we get out of those types of relationships. So helping women, reorient and figure out who they are and how they want to move forward.
Absolutely. There's been two really fundamental changes in my life that have come from coaching with you. One of them was the cord cutting ceremony. And I just did an episode where I mentioned that, like, it was like 3 or 4 weeks ago. But I talked about my journey through that cord cutting experience and what that gave me as far as just the respect for my past self and how beautiful that was. And just I had a misconception of who she was. Like, I just expected her to be this weak ball of nothing curled up on the floor. And she was like a warrior. Yeah. And she was just so relieved that I let her go. And she was like proud of what she accomplished. And I was just like, holy cow, this woman is amazing. So I always tear up when I talk about it. I tear up in that episode too. But it's beautiful. It's beautiful to be able to look at yourself without shame. And I think that's a lot of what your coaching gives to women, is to look at yourself without shame and to grow through that. So it's beautiful. And then the other one was parts. You had coached me through something. It was my breakup. And you had coached me through the missing him, but being mad at him, but knowing I shouldn't have him, but sometimes wanting him, but being mad at myself for wanting him. And it was just like all these weird emotions that were swirling around. And you said, is there a part of you that's trying to speak? Or you said something like that. I don't remember exactly what you had said that triggered them, but it was like, is there a part of you? And it's like, oh my gosh, yes, there's a part of me that's mad because she spent 3 years building that relationship. And then this part of me that's protecting my family is letting that go. So she's protecting our safety in our heart and feeling loved. And this part of me is protecting the safety of my family and keeping my kids healthy and happy. So these two parts were just in a disagreement. Yes. So recognizing that there were two parts helped me. We worked as a team after that because I assured her that it's okay. She didn't have to protect that part of me. And then she was grateful that I was protecting my kids. Beautiful. It's really cool. It was really cool. So obviously, Bre is a master. You should hire her if you have any relationship issues. But that's what we're talking about today, obviously, is relationships, and namely dating, because I just use Bre's podcast appearances to benefit myself. And so right now I'm in the world of dating in my near 40s. And so that's difficult. It's a whole new world. Dating's different when you're older and you have kids, and there's a whole new dynamic of that. And so I was telling Bre, I've gone through the online dating route a little bit. I've gone through being introduced to people through friends. I've just recently met somebody at the gym by accident. That's been going well too. So there's different ways of meeting people. But I really do feel like when I was trying to meet people, it was just a show.
Yeah.
And when I stopped trying to meet people and met someone by accident or a friend introduced us, it just worked out way better. So I don't know if you have some psychology on the process of like trying versus just resting. Why is that so different?
Well, I think when we're trying to get something, we are in fear. We're in fear because we don't have it or that we're not going to get it. And so, on some level, energetically, we are coming across to that other person as, I need you, or I really, really want you, right? We
Yeah.
oftentimes mask it in wanting, but it's like deep down, there's a part of you who really needs you to be in a relationship to validate that you still got it, to validate
Oh,
that you're
yeah.
okay, to make you not alone, whatever the validation is. And when we're coming into a dynamic like that, I think other people can sense that, or we are attracting
Yes.
the wrong type of person that is, similar to our past or our past patterns that we are used to, that we're drawn to because of that familiarity, because there's safety there. And if you don't feel safe on your own, in your own aloneness, then you're going to try to seek safety somewhere else.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh. You said so much that could be like two whole podcasts already. But you're so right. Because, first of all, cycles. When you have been with an unhealthy person or somebody on the narcissistic spectrum, as you called it, which I love because there's not always like just a narcissist and just not a narcissist. It's like there's this scale where they could have narcissistic tendencies that are still hurtful and abusive, but they're not necessarily a bad person. I mean,
There's
either
lots
way
of
it hurts.
flavors, lots of
Yeah,
flavors
either
of
way
it.
it hurts. Yeah. And so when you have the cycle of when you've already chosen a narcissistic person, there's something in you that's attracting that energy and it's going to cycle. So it's important to know old patterns. You were talking about that a little bit earlier, but knowing patterns and knowing when to recognize patterns that maybe you didn't recognize before. I was sharing with you earlier, I'll share with you guys, is I was noticing this last person I started going on dates with didn't shower me with compliments and wasn't overly like, oh, you're so amazing, you're so talented, you're so what beautiful, whatever. And I was kind of like, I don't think he likes me. Like that was my honestly after our first date, I did not expect to hear from him again. I was like, that didn't go well. Like he's cute and everything, he's successful. It's really nice to be hanging out with somebody like that, but I just really didn't feel like he was vibing on my energy. And to my surprise, he called back and we went on another date. And I still felt like I don't think he likes me. And then we went on another date, and we went on another date, and every date I'm like, "Do you like me?" But I know there are signs. Obviously, there are signs that he likes me, but it's not the pouncing, overly complimentary dopamine love bombing that I'm used to. So it's weird, but it's a new. My old pattern would be more attracted to somebody who's love bombing me. That feels better because it's secure. Like, oh, they like me. I can tell. They won't stop talking about how much they like me. Well, this guy obviously likes me or wouldn't keep asking me out, right? But it's just like talk a little bit about recognizing these unhealthy patterns and how they feel weird when you
Yeah.
break them.
Yeah. Well, I equate love bombing to like a sugar rush. Like
Mm,
when you're just binging on candy, right? It's just
yeah.
like, oh my God, this is so amazing. I love this so much. You get the sugar high, you're just bouncing off the walls. Everything is intense and amazing and like extreme
Yes.
versus the healthy meal
Uh,
that is actually sustainable and is also delicious, but doesn't
mhm.
send you into these like spikes in your blood sugar, right? You're more easily your level.
That's
Things
so
are
true.
things are really fun to taste and to put in your mouth and to eat and experience,
Yeah.
but it's not sending you on that same kick. So if you're used to the kick, if you're used
Hmm.
to the sugar rush, to the
Yeah.
love bombing, to the deluge of desire and attention, it's going to feel boring to be with somebody who's not doing that because like you to your point there are subtle signs that
Hmm.
somebody is into you, right?
Yes.
And so it's a little bit less, well, it's a lot of bit less in your face of of course this person likes me, which you then feed off of, and it's this whole like validation exchange back and forth.
Yeah.
And more of, oh, I get to show up as myself and don't have to put on the part or put on the excitement or even pretend to be excited with this person. It's just I get to be who I am and they get to be who they are. And we get to enjoy this meal together and have a
Yes.
really good experience.
Yeah, I love that you're talking about you get to be your own people without worrying, because I feel like in the past I have tried to be the person's perfect girl that I'm with. And if they drop hints on what kind of perfect girl they want, I for sure am going to lean towards that. And that's something I need to work on. But it's something I've noticed in the past where even if I'm not that into the guy, I want to be his perfect girl. It's almost like
Yeah.
I win. Like I want to win,
Yeah.
right? I don't want to be rejected. I want to win.
Right. And they start by putting you on a pedestal. And so if you veer away or if you start to step down from that pedestal, you're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
Right? So like this is true in dating even if you're not being love bombed is we put our best self forward.
Mm-hmm.
Especially on the first like several dates. You make sure you wash your hair. You make sure that you like are wearing the outfit that fits you perfectly.
Yes.
And that's not realistic in day-to-day life. Like there will be times when I haven't washed my hair for a week and that will be just what it is.
Oh yeah.
But if you have set this standard and you are idolized in a lot of ways for your wonderful smelling hair in this example, you are going to feel like you can never let that fall. You can never drop
Right.
that part or else you're risking losing the whole relationship. And that's a really rocky place to be because you want to be able to show up in a relationship with your dirty ass hair and your person be like, I love you the same that I loved
Yeah.
you after you showered.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely a fear associated with trying to remain perfect when you're already feeling like that's what the level that you've set for yourself, not even maybe what they set, but you set that level. If you're trying to be the perfect girl, you've set this level of perfection. And there's a fear with dropping out of it, which then leads to exhaustion and burnout. And then you're just like overwhelmed and you have no idea what happened.
Yes.
The person I'm dating, I have no idea what kind of person he's looking for. I haven't asked. I've just been me and I haven't really worried about it. But when we're hanging out, I wonder what he's thinking. I wonder, like, my toenails aren't painted. I wonder if he's noticed, or my cuticles are a wreck. I wonder if he notices that. I wonder if he notices whatever. And he doesn't ever say anything. So I'm just like, I don't know what he's thinking. But then I just calm myself down. I'm like, this is so nice that I don't have to know what he's thinking. Because obviously, if he didn't like something enough to where he didn't want to see me again, he wouldn't call me again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can just be whatever I am and not worry about it. And in the past, I would have asked, well, do you like my hair up? Do you like it down? Do you like it curly? Do you like it straight? What's your favorite way I've worn my hair? I'll wear that more often. Like, who cares? Just wear my hair the way I'm wearing my hair that day, But this is like the recovery that you help women with. This is the recovery of it's almost like this addiction to just being accepted, loved, cherished, but in the unhealthy way of it being an achievement.
Yeah. Well, I think in what we're doing in that of like, well, how do you like my hair? We want them to still choose us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we're going to do everything that we need to do in order to still be chosen.
Right.
And that gets us into a weird place with men and with ourselves if we're always looking to become the person that they are going to choose instead of becoming the person that we want to be. And then if they choose us, great. If not, great.
Right.
That's a
That's so
different.
much more comfortable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's exhausting to do all of the things unless those things bring you joy, right? If like doing
Right.
your nails is something you dig, awesome. But if
Mm-hmm.
you are stressing over your cuticles because some guy told you one time that you have disgusting fingers, like that's going to be a bigger energy drain for you
Yeah,
to try to
exactly.
maintain. It's a different conversation to ask somebody what they want in their life, what they
Mm-hmm.
want for their life versus
Yeah.
what do you want in me?
Yes.
Because
That's so
somebody
true.
might answer, what do I want for my life? Oh, well, I want to travel. And then
Yeah.
you take that information and you're like, oh, well, do I also like to travel?
Right.
Instead of, oh, I need to become a traveler
Yes.
to be with this person, clearly. Because again, that's going to take a lot of energy that is not authentic to you, which is going to be draining instead of
Right.
recharging.
Yes, you're so right. There was somebody I was hanging out with for a little bit, And he was talking about how he loved going to concerts and that that's something he would really like to do. And concerts are fun, but maybe one or two a year is my max. I have that really easily overstimulated nervous system, probably from my trauma, but I don't like a ton of loud noise. And when I go to a concert, especially if it's indoors, I like it's very intense.
Don't make me go at all.
Like if we were dating, I would have to tell him to bring someone else. And I know that's not what he would want. But it was hard for me to like come to that realization of like we have great conversations, they're very deep. We've done a lot of self work and self development and spiritual development. And so when we have conversations, they're amazing. But I'm like, let's just be friends because those conversations are so valuable. And really, you're looking for someone else. But it was hard to let that go. And because I feel like there's a part of me that still has that perfectionism of, well, if I don't win him, I failed. But I have to be able to let it go, saying I didn't fail, it just wasn't a good fit.
Yeah.
And that's new for me too.
That is, and that's huge. That's huge. Like, it takes so much self-awareness to be able to let something go because it's not a right fit, and not hold on to it just because you're in fear. I'm
In
afraid
fear of
I'm
being
going to
alone.
fail.
Well, and if I fail, then I'm alone again and I have to start over. There's that part of me that we discovered that does not like starting over because she's like, all the work I've done already.
Yeah.
Like, I'm tired. I'm not going to work for you. It's like, I'm not going to work for you anymore. I don't, no,
Yeah.
we're not doing this again. If you don't make this one work, I'm not doing it again. It's kind of my little attitudinal part that's like, so, okay, well, if you don't do this one, we're not doing any. And that's fearful because then I'm like, well, so if I don't make this work, we're going to be alone. And she's like, yep.
Yeah. Yep. I'm going to rebel right back. Yeah. But that's a good point that I want to make for the women listening, because we can talk ourselves into the idea that if I pick him, then I won't have to spend all this energy trying to find someone else.
Mm-hmm.
But picking somebody who is not the right fit is going to expend so much more energy to be in that relationship than it would be to start again and to find somebody that's aligned that you can like flow with. So I know it's so like alluring to convince ourselves that, oh, I'll just settle for him because then I don't have to get back on the date. I don't have to I'd get back on the apps. I don't have to go on the first date, do the whole thing. But to try to fit a square peg in a round hole your whole life you're gonna be much more tired than you
And
would.
it's lonely. I think being in a relationship you're not happy in is more lonely than being single.
Totally. Yeah, there's a difference between being alone and being lonely, right? And
So
when
true.
we're not being seen in the dynamic where we are supposed to be the most seen, right?
Yeah.
Your person is supposed to be the one that you can be your full self with in every sense of the word. So when we're not seen in a relationship, it's like, I don't even know the right word. It's not just feeling lonely. It's like a brutal experience
It is.
over
Yeah.
and over and over again.
Right. It's like you're being rejected daily.
Rejected. That's the word I was looking for. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. By
But you still
somebody.
have to start over with them every day and get
Yes.
rejected again.
And not like a surface level rejection, right? Like when you go on a first date and it's not vibing for whatever reason, it's like she was too loud or I didn't like her hair or whatever.
Right.
But like the level of rejection that you get with somebody who knows you intimately, it's like, oh, they have seen all my cards and they're rejecting every single one of them. And that's painful.
It is.
Yeah.
Online dating apps, you mentioned that. That was an experience. I don't even know how to categorize online dating anymore. And the only reason I tried it is because I listened to a Mel Robbins podcast. And the lady who was in charge of making sure that it was accurate of Hinge was on. And the way that she described it made it sound great. She's like, this is, we match with your profile and we make sure everybody's what you're looking for. And it's very in depth and da da da. And I was like, oh, this is great. But it didn't match that great. There were some men who were really sweet, very, very sweet, treated me nicely. And I read this book and it's designed for online dating. And it was super helpful. It's called Absolutely Adored, Stop Choosing Narcissistic Men and Finally Be a Well-Loved Woman by Sierra Faith. So a friend of mine gave it to me because she met her love on online dating. So I'm not saying it's not going to work, but it's cool. She said what to look for and like what the profile pictures will tell you about them and what the way that they write their little question answer things will tell you who they are. And then when you start a conversation with them, how often to text them, how long to wait before you respond, and then what they might say that might be a red flag. And so I took that into account when I started online dating. And I think it did lead me to some really nice and sincere men, but not where I really needed them to be financially or goal wise or. And I was really adamant about like, you need to work out and take care of your body. And I really didn't see very many people like that on there. So I don't know. I'm just looking for somebody there's no way to say it, on a different level. I needed a different level because my level is for myself that I set is pretty high. And I have been dating other levels for a while just because I didn't know that I could date higher.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, I'm saying so many things that sound not very good. I'm not trying to sound bad.
No, you don't sound bad at all. You sound like you know the type of person that's going to align with the values that you have.
Yeah.
And that is somebody with a job that that makes an income,
Yes.
that takes care of their health, right?
Yes.
It's maybe not using the language like better than, less than, but just aligned, right?
Aligned. There you
More
go.
aligned with
Yes.
what your preferences are for
Yeah, I like
your
that
life.
better than levels. I don't like how I said levels because I'm like, oh, I'm a higher level than you. That's not what I'm trying to say. But yes, more aligned with my expectations of myself, I guess. I feel like somebody that I'm dating should kind of match that alignment
Mm-hmm.
of
There you go.
expectations for
Yeah.
themselves because I don't want to have expectations for someone else. I just think that's super toxic. I want them to have their own and I have my own.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And plus, when you have aligned, like the things that you like to do are aligned, then you get to spend time doing those things together,
yeah,
which feeds well in a relationship to be able to spend time together.
right.
Because if you value health and fitness and they don't, you're going to want to do things that, like your Krav Maga, right? Is that how you say
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
And hiking and, golfing and all of the things that you like to do outdoors. And
right.
if they prefer to hole in and watch movies, that's
Mm-hmm.
not bad. It's just different. And you guys aren't going to align on that.
Exactly. Yes, that's so right. Yeah, online dating is a whole beast, man. I don't envy people who have to go through that for sure. I would much rather be introduced. The person I met at the gym, this is the person that's like breaking my patterns. I didn't mean to meet him. In fact, I don't look to meet people at the gym. I have tunnel vision when I work out, and I wasn't even looking. I was on a squat rack. I had a friend of mine who I hadn't seen in 5 years was on the squat rack next to me. I didn't even know it was him for a while, but I was waiting on my rest, and I looked over and I saw that the tattoo on his arm, and I was like, "Oh, that looks familiar." I was like, "Wait a minute, I know that tattoo. I think I know who that is. I know he has a twin brother. Maybe it's his brother." And so I said, are you Andrew or your twin? He's like, I'm Andrew. I was wondering if you were going to say anything. And I was like, I haven't seen you in like 5 years. I didn't even recognize you. Anyway, he was working out with a friend and he was like, this is my friend Zach. And even though he introduced me to him, I still didn't see Zach.
Yeah.
I was just like,
Interesting.
I don't know. I just didn't see him. And then I kept with my workout. And then later on, I was on the butt machine, was what I call it. I guess it's a glute trainer.
I like
I
butt
was on
machine
the butt
better.
machine. I was on the butt machine. And so they were right next to me again, and I was about to leave. So I was like telling them bye and everything. And then I had a couple more sets to do. And so I was standing there during another one of my rests. Oh, I said, I just have 2 more sets of the butt machine. And Zach came over and stood right by me, but not in an aggressive way and not in an uncomfortable way, in a very noticeable way. And I was just like, what's that? But he just came over and he's like, did you just call it a butt machine? And that's all he said. And I just looked at him like, whoa. And I don't know what it was, but the energy was different. And I was just like, that's hot. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. All he did was stand there and say, did you just call it a butt machine? But that's when I saw him. And I was like, oh, wow, that's interesting. He didn't say much else. And then I just told my friend Alyssa is engaged to Andrew, and I was like, "Hey, you'll never guess who I just saw," because I've kept in touch with her and we've seen each other every now and then. But I was like, "You'll never guess who I saw at the gym. Whoever that hunk was that he was with, if he's single, give him my number." Ha ha. Like, I don't know. I figured he wasn't single, but I was gonna try. She said he is single, and then like 10 minutes later, he texts me. He's like, "Hey, I'm Zach, the hunk from the gym," and I was like, they told you what I said. But we've had so much fun, and like I said, it's been very different from anything I'm used to in every good way possible.
Yeah.
But
Has
it's been
it,
uncomfortable.
uh-huh. Have you had that like, oh, this feels boring
Oh yeah.
thought come
Well,
across your head?
we have times where we'll hang out and not say anything. Or we'll just watch The Office, which is hilarious, by the way. I didn't know how funny that was. I love that show now. But I am not one to sit and watch TV. And so I'm one to perform. Like if I'm dating somebody, I need to perform. I need to ooh them and awe them and excite them, or else they're going to leave.
Yeah.
Right? I have to keep them entertained. And so I'm just not used to being able to just sit, and then he'll just like tickle my arm or massage my head and doesn't expect anything in return. Or he'll give me a massage and I'll say, "Okay, your turn." He's like, "No, I just wanted to give you a massage. I don't need one back." And then when we make plans, he says, I like that he's like, he can make a plan. But when he does
Very
make a
sexy.
plan, like the very first time we went out, he was like, "Let's meet 5:30 at Kobe Sushi." And they do have cooked things if you don't like sushi. So he gave me like, "Here's what I want to do, and here's an out if you don't like that." And he's done that several times. Like, "Here's what I want, but here's an out." And so it's considerate while also being assertive and masculine.
Amazing.
Yeah, super respectful. Like even all of his touching is respectful. I never feel like an object. Everything is so different with him.
Yeah. Such a subtle, well, it's not subtle once you recognize it, but the energy difference between like existing with somebody or existing alongside somebody
Hmm.
and existing for somebody.
Yeah.
When you are performing, as you
Hmm.
say, like you're existing for them, for the benefit for them,
Right.
instead of just like, oh, we're both here enjoying the show and there's nothing that I'm owing you now because we're
Yeah,
doing this thing.
exactly. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm so happy you're having this experience, even if this is not the
I
one, you
know.
know?
That's the beauty of where I'm at right now. And that's kind of what my whole point of this podcast is, to shift your mindset from needing to date or needing to have somebody to just being okay with existing and letting that be enough. And I think not until I hit that point did I notice a difference with Zach and notice that I think the reason our time together is so special is because I'm not expecting it to be long term. I'm not expecting it to be short term. I'm really not expecting anything, which means every time we spend time together, it's literally just time together. It's making a memory with no expectation of anything.
Yeah.
And it's peaceful.
Yeah. Yeah. When you can go into dating with the understanding that you don't need anything from somebody else, that takes the transaction out of it.
Hmm.
Because when we're in transaction, we're in unhealthy, like if I'm giving you this and I'm expecting to receive this, or I'm giving you this because I know that you're expecting this from me. And that murkies everything. And typically we attract people who also work in transaction when we're doing that.
Hmm.
So for you to take the time to understand who you are completely and to really, as cliche as it is, like fall in love with yourself
Yes.
and who you are and what you bring to the table, then the more likely that you are to show up to those dynamics of, I'm good. I am good by myself.
Yeah.
I, of course, want, well, maybe not, of course, I want to spend my life with somebody and share that with somebody, but it's not going to just be anybody.
Right.
And so you come into that exchange with different questions, with different, your bar is set higher, with a different understanding of what you need in order to feel the compatibility with somebody.
Yeah.
And that allows you to sift through the pile
Yes.
of potential daters faster and easier.
Yes.
So it's, you don't spend as much time figuring out who you are within a relationship and then figuring out that the relationship doesn't work. It's
Right.
like, oh, I've taken the time to do that. I'm totally okay being on my own. And if
Hmm.
somebody crosses my path or if I'm actively looking, then I know how to assess the situation and see if I want to continue in that direction. And if not, I'm also okay.
Right.
It takes away so much stress and pressure on both sides.
Right. Yes. There's such an accountability to knowing if you don't know yourself and you're in a relationship, you're honestly delaying that person's happiness as well. So you can hold yourself accountable. If you can't do it for you, do it for them kind of thing. Like if you don't know and love yourself enough to be okay by yourself, then you're not ready for a relationship either. And I think there's so many ways to get to know and love yourself. One of them is coaching and therapy. Like you, Bre, have a really great way of leading somebody to that self-knowledge and self-awareness and self-love. And like I said, ridding yourself of shame so that you can really embrace yourself in many different ways. And then, of course, the Reclaim guidebook has that. The whole thing is about identity, finding your identity and loving it. And then I have the Rediscovering Me 3 Dates with Yourself guide that's on my stand store. So anyways, the whole point of this dating thing that I wanted to make is that knowing, dating, and loving yourself is the first step to knowing, dating, and loving somebody special and healthy.
Yeah. We just piece it all the way back down to, I want someone to love me. If I don't know who I am, how am I going to expect someone else to know who I am and to love who I am?
Right.
We have to start with ourselves so that we can first articulate who we are to somebody else.
Right.
And let that be okay if my cup of tea is not what they want to drink. And that's fine. Everybody has preferences. But that doesn't mean that you are a bad cup of tea or that you are not desirable to somebody else.
You know, it's funny because the moment I realized that I had made it to like this self-love point that I felt successful at, I told my friend Jamie, I was like, I asked myself, would I like dating me? And when I started looking into that, I was like, heck yeah, man. That actually, man, I wish I could just marry myself. And I told her that, and she was like, you made it.
Yeah.
You're there. And it does feel like that. Like, yes, I feel like I would be great to love and date and marry and love myself in that way. So I finally made it to the point where I'm like, yeah, I don't have to perform. I'm already enough. And that's a hard place to get to. It took 15 years for me?
I mean, but you got there, Brandi.
Yeah.
And you are a walking example of what's possible for all the women who are like, I'm never going to be able to do that.
Right.
You're walking it. You're totally a different person today than you were 15 years, yes, but like not even a year ago.
Exactly. Huge difference.
Huge difference.
Huge. Yeah. I love it. Well, thank you. I know I'm keeping you a little bit. I just can't get enough of
okay. We'll do more. We'll do all the episodes.
Yes. Well, thank you. I know you took time away from your beautiful new family, so congratulations. Bre just had a baby, and so we'll be having more of her. Thanks again, Bre, for being on. I will put how to get hold of you in the show notes, but real quick, remind them of your website or email.
Yeah, website is brewolta.com. And I also have a podcast called Heartbreak to Wholeness that talks all about healing from the narcissistic mind and how to begin doing that, how to begin to make sense out of what happened.
Amen, sister. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Stay sparkly. Thanks for hanging out with us today. I just wanted to remind you about the resources we have on the reclaimstrategy.com. That is Reclaim University with free downloads. It's the Reclaim Guidebook, access to Kintsugi classes and events. So go ahead and take a look. Also, please share this podcast with anybody that you think might need to hear these messages. And if you haven't already and you think we deserve it, give us a 5-star rating. That just helps our reach. So I love you guys. Stay sparkly, and we will see you next week.